Today on Stock Charts in Focus, we're taking your stock discovery process to the next level, boosting it with a bottom-up stock picking approach. We're going to show you exactly how this works by running scans and then looking at the markets, not from the top down, from the indexes to the sectors and the industries, but from the bottom up, looking at stocks that are making new highs across a couple of time periods. We're going to show you exactly how to set this up in Stock Charts, and we're going to talk about why this is so important, not just for stock picking, but also for understanding what's happening in those markets across different levels. So lots to cover on the show today. Of course, you know what it is. It's all new. It's all here. It's Stock Charts in Focus. All right, my friends, welcome to the show, Stock Charts in Focus. Of course, our product focus show here on the channel where we dig into the site, dive into those tools, walk through those features, and ultimately help you get more value out of stock charts. That's our mission here every Friday up on the channel. My name is Grayson Rose, Vice President of Operations here at StockCharts.com. It's great to be back with you for another episode, and this one, as always, is going to be a lot of fun. Now, the show that we're doing today is kind of inspired by a conversation I had with Dave Keller, our Chief Market Strategist, just yesterday. Dave and I sat down to record a special for you guys. It's going to be coming out on the YouTube channel very, very soon, if not already out on the YouTube channel, depending on when you're watching this. But what we did was we both brought 5 stocks to the table, our 5 charts to watch for the month of September. So 10 charts total that you need to keep an eye on for the month of September. And we talked through exactly why we picked everything. We talked through how we picked those different 5 charts that we each brought to the table. Of course, we talked about what's happened in the markets and all that stuff. But one of the things that came out of that conversation that I thought was incredibly powerful was that we were both using a pretty similar process to find these names, to find these charts. We were both using what we call a bottom-up approach to stock picking. Now, you can start, of course, at the top of the markets with something like our sector summary tool. You can think about what's going on at the index level and then drill down into those sectors of the markets, then drill down into the industry groups, and then find the individual stocks within that are working well, that kind of fit your criteria. But the other way to think about the markets, right? Instead of coming from the top down, you can go from the bottom up. You can start by running scans for stocks making new highs or fitting some criteria across different time frames. So that's one way to look at it that's kind of from the bottom up, right? If you're running those scans, you're finding those stocks that are making those new highs and looking at the sectors and the industries that they fall into. You're kind of looking at the markets not from the top down, but from the bottom up, looking at the individual stocks and then thinking about which groups are working, which industry groups, which sectors, different things like that. So what was so interesting about this conversation with Dave was that both of us kind of said, oh, well, I'm using this kind of bottom-up approach by running these scans for new highs at specific time periods. And I said, well, that's what I do too. That's my whole process. That's what I do every day. And I use stock charts to do it. And Dave said, oh yeah, that's how I'm doing this too. So it got me thinking, after that show, I want to make sure that you guys understand exactly how to implement this same bottom-up stock picking process on stock charts. It's a great way to get to know the platform. It's an incredibly powerful part of the platform. And if I'm honest, it's one of my favorite ways to use stock charts. Running these scans, saving them into chart lists, reviewing those charts. And as you're going to see, we're even going to talk about how to schedule those scans to run for you automatically. This really kind of automates your whole process. So we'll take a look actually as we get going at my own account. I'll show you exactly how I'm using basically this structure to do all of my stock picking. As an active trader, active investor, this is a crucial part of my whole system. It really kind of defines my weekly routines. So we'll jump over to the site. We'll take a look at some of that good stuff. And you're going to see exactly how to implement all of this in your own account. Now, before I get going, I do want to mention one thing. We've got a little bit of news that I want to make sure you're aware of. Of course, we've got our primary YouTube channel, the StockCharts TV YouTube channel. You guys are probably already subscribed to it. If you're not, be sure to follow that channel, hit subscribe, turn the bell on. You'll get notifications every time we post a new video. But we've just launched a second YouTube channel. If you're on the primary YouTube channel, you can scroll down to the bottom. You'll find this listed. What we now have basically is a StockCharts TV channel with all of the market content, everything that's happening out there in the markets, are good contributors and everything talking about what they're seeing on their charts. We've also added a second YouTube channel, though, which is more for kind of educational, instructional, longer format documentaries and those kinds of things. Some of that longer form, less timely, more timeless content that we do up on the channel. So if you've been following us for a long time, give that second channel a look, give that one a follow. Be sure to check that out. Again, turn that notification bell on. You'll get notifications every time a new video is posted there. But you'll see this show really across kind of both channels for now. But we're kind of growing that second YouTube channel. So if you want more from StockCharts, definitely check out that second YouTube channel that we now have, the sort of StockCharts YouTube channel instead of StockCharts TV, if you will. So with all that background out of the way, let's jump over to the site and get it going. All right, my friends, so full disclosure, on the show today, we are absolutely going to fly. We're covering a lot of different corners of StockCharts. We're covering some pretty powerful tools. So this might be one that you want to revisit a couple of times after we go through all of this. We're going to go through this pretty quickly, but of course, if you have any questions, leave those in the comments down below, and we'll help you point to different resources around. And if you watch this a couple of times, you will understand what we're doing. So first and foremost, I want to kind of start with where we're going, and then we'll kind of build up to that. We're here on the members dashboard, kind of the heart and soul of your account. And what I want to direct you to is your chart list. So I hit that big button up at the top corner. And as I scroll through my list of chart lists that are in my account, I get to this big section that is a totally important, super crucial part of my system. It starts up here really with these S&P 1500 lists, but all of these things that you see with Dow, ETFs, NASDAQ 100, S&P 1500, S&P 600, S&P 900, all of these lists are incredibly important ones in my account. What I've done is set up all of these different scans, basically what we're going to take a look at today. And these are things like new highs, new 3-month highs, new 6-month highs, new 9-month highs, 52-week highs, all-time highs, basically just new highs across these different time frames for these different groups. So they're right there in the name, Dow Industrials, stocks in the Dow making new all-time highs. ETFs for a group of ETFs that I follow, making new 52-week highs, 9-month and 6-month highs. NASDAQ 100 making new all-time highs. This is a little bit of a custom scan, rising scooters. That's sort of breaks the mold there, but it's another scan that I have scheduled in my account. And then we get into the S&P 600, all-time highs, 52-week highs, 9-month, 6-month, and 3-month highs. And I do the same thing for the S&P 900. That's a combination of the 500 and the 400, so large and mid caps. The S&P 600 is small caps if you're not familiar with that. So all of these chart lists in my account, which you can see are actually blank right now, these are here because I have scheduled scans that run automatically for me at the close every day. And they take all of the stocks that meet this criteria and that saves them into these chart lists. So every day, these chart lists in my account get filled up, and it's then on me to go and clear those out. Look for the ones that are setting up nicely. Look for the ones that I want to keep on my watch list and maybe trade in the future. So all of these different things get scheduled for me. They run automatically. And basically, at the end of the day, I'm getting a list of any stocks in the S&P 900 that make a new all-time high. I get the same thing for new 9-month highs and 6-month highs and 52-week highs and 3-month highs. All of these lists get filled up with these scheduled scans. Now I can then go review those charts and save them to any other list, any other watch list that I have, but it's an incredibly powerful little process. And when we talk about kind of bottom-up stock picking, as we said in the opening of the show, this is an incredibly powerful way to look at the markets and to think about the markets. You run these scans for new highs across these different time frames, and you look at what's working. If you run these every day, like I do, like Dave Keller does, and you go through these results every single day, it gives gives you this amazing sense of what's happening in the markets. As technology starts to lead, for instance, you'll see that these scans get populated with a bunch of technology stocks, and it'll start at the 3-month time frame. And then once that leadership kind of continues, you'll see more of those technology stocks start to make 6-month highs, and then 9-month highs, and then 52-week highs, and so on and so forth. When you start to see some sector rotation, moving through different corners of the markets, right now, for instance, in these scans that run every day, we've been seeing a lot of energy names bubbling up to the surface, making new 3, 6, and 9-month highs. So this is an incredibly powerful way to look at the markets, to think about the markets, again, kind of from that bottom-up perspective. But on top of that, it's also an amazing way to find new stocks that you might be interested in buying. So again, if you want to own things that are going to outperform, that are going to lead, that are going to make their way higher, I am a strong proponent of saying that the best way to do that is to find stocks that are making new highs. If you want to find things that are going up or find things that are going to go up, the best way to do that is to find things that are already going up. So this is basically what we're going to build for your account today. We're going to sort of show you how to set this up with a similar process. We'll create our scan, we'll save it to a chart list, we'll talk about how to review those results, but then we'll also touch on how to schedule those scans and create these chart lists so that you can actually do a similar thing for yourself. So we'll scroll all the way back up here, and I want to direct us over to our charts and tools page. Now, scanning, which is going to be our first stop, basically market screens, right, that allow you to take any criteria that you have, whether it's simple things like 3-month highs or more complex things like indicator crossovers and combinations of different indicators. Our scan engine allows you to build incredibly powerful advanced scans that go out and search the market for anything that fits your criteria. There's a lot to learn when it comes to scanning. It is something that has a bit of a learning curve to it. But we've made it much, much easier recently with what we call our sample scan library. We have touched on this in the show in the past, but this is a very powerful new resource that I love directing people to. So this is going to be our starting place for today, and I'll show you exactly why. Here on our charts and tools page, jump down to that member tools section, look for that sample scan library, hit the blue link, and here you go. What our sample scan library is intended to do is take popular scans like, as you can see right up here at the top, new highs across a couple of different time frames, new lows across a couple of different time frames as well, or popular bullish scans, things like big volume pops or oversold with improving RSI, different things that a lot of people like to run. All of these sample scans are available for you. You can run these without having to custom code any syntax. But if you do want to custom code the syntax, if you want to use these as kind of a starting place to build your own scans without having to write everything from scratch, these can also serve as amazing templates. So I want to show you how easy it is to use this. Now, today, what we're going to focus on, like we talked about in the open, had that conversation with Dave about new 3-month highs. That's going to be kind of our focus for today. We're going to use that 3-month high scan, but I'll talk about how to modify it for some of these other time frames as well. Just to make sure you're fully aware of exactly how this thing works, if you do want to come here and just run a scan, all you've got to do is hit that green button. So new 3-month highs right here, we hit run. This is going to give us a combination of US stocks and ETFs. You can actually see this syntax up here if you're paying close attention to it. But US stocks and ETFs making new 3-month highs. Now, we can see this is a big list. This is 296 symbols, but it shows you how easy it is to run a scan right from that sample page. Now, you can start to review these. You can actually hover over these symbols to get little mini charts of any of them. Or if you want to save this to a chart list, you can do that and then start to filter down that group. Delete the ones that you don't like, merge the other ones into maybe another watch list that you have, anything like that. You've got a couple options in here. You're probably familiar with this if you've been running scans for a while, but save them to a new list, merge with an existing list, or replace an existing list that you have in your account. And you can do this for sharp charts or for ACP. We're actually going to use ACP today in just a couple of minutes, but once you run one of these scans, you can save those to your account. Now, what I want to talk about though is starting to customize these scans a little bit more, because 296 symbols, they might not fit exactly the kind of groups that you want to focus on. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit this little edit button next to that 3-month high scan. Now that's going to pull in, like I said, that syntax. We call this the scan syntax, the scanning kind of code. This is the language of the scan, everything that you are scanning for. There's a nice little button down here at the bottom that says reformat, and when you give that a click, you'll see that it formats everything nice and easy to make it a little bit more readable. So when you edit one of these sample scans, remember to hit that reformat button. That'll stack everything up nice and easy. Now this is a very simple scan, and it looks a little bit scary to people when you first take a look at it. But you can kind of really just read through this and it'll start to actually make a lot of sense. So we're looking at stocks in the US in either the NYSE or the NASDAQ. You can see this little or the NASDAQ with a market cap above 100 million. So these market cap numbers are in millions. So if you're looking at 100, that's going to be 100 million. If you want things above a billion, for instance, you would do 1,000 million. Think about it that way. But this is looking at stocks in the US, stocks and ETFs in the US, in the NASDAQ or the NYSE with a market cap above 100 million. So mostly sort of the stuff that you would want to trade a little bit bigger. And then this is our syntax for that 3-month high. The daily high from today is greater than yesterday's high from the last 63 days. So this is going to give you 3-month highs. 3 months in the stock market is about 63 sessions. So what this is saying is show me stocks in the US, in the NASDAQ or the NYSE with a market cap over 100 million that are trading at a higher price today than they have over any of the sessions in the last 63 days. So this is going to give us that list of new 3-month highs. This is basically that scan that Dave was saying he runs. This is one of the scans that I run, but I've started to customize it a little bit. So we can do that very easily. Actually, if we open up this list, again, you saw those chart lists that I was scanning for, S&P 600 and 900 and different ETFs, the NASDAQ 100, the Dow, different things, over some of these different time periods. So we can start to pick our group and kind of narrow this down a little bit. If we actually highlight everything here and we delete that, we can come down to the scan components area. And under the indexes and ETF section, when you open that up, you'll see that we have some different groups in here. This allows you to pick different groups and really kind of narrow down your focus with these scans. So if, instead of scanning for all stocks and ETFs in the US, basically, we can start to scan for something more specific like the S&P 500. All you have to do for any of these scan component little menus is select what you want out of the menu and then hit add. Now, up top, back in the scan, you can see that added the syntax, as we call it, for that group. So we can actually give this a copy. I just copied it to the clipboard here, and I'm going to paste it right above. Now, I'm going to take off that and because this is the first thing in the scan. So the first thing that we're looking for is group is S&P 500. That means only the stocks in the S&P 500. And then we're going to leave our 3-month highs syntax right in there. So now when we run this scan, let's do that really quick. You'll see that this is giving us 42 results. So for yesterday's session, this is going to show us the 42 stocks in the S&P 500 that made a new 3-month high. Really, really easy to do some of these different things. Now you could combine this. I've got some combined ones. For instance, if we wanted to look at our S&P 900 3-month highs, I've got some other stuff in here as well. But if we delete that, make this a little easier to see really quickly, you can see that we've got S&P 500 or S&P 400. So this is going to show us the S&P 900. So you can start to manipulate some of these scans. If you wanted to change this from a 3-month high to a 6-month high, all we've got to do is double that 63, right? 6 months is twice the size of 3 months. So we could just do 126. If we wanted to do 9-month highs, we could change this to 189. You can see how easy it is to do some of these different things. So we set our group, we set our scan, we run that, and then we're going to want to save those results. Again, whatever group you want to look at, whether it's the S&P 500, the S&P 400, the Dow, any of those different things, you can use this little indexes and ETFs menu right on here to pick some of those things. So we're going to get back to kind of where we started here. Let's get back to our 3-month high, and let's actually take this off. Let's get back to just the S&P 500. We'll make it nice and easy. Take off a couple of these things, take off that other bracket. Here we go. There is our nice, simple, clean scan for S&P 500 stocks making new 3-month highs. We'll give that a run one more time. We can see there we've got our 42 stocks once again. And what we're gonna do now is save this to a chart list in our account. So now we've got our bottom up scan. We're scanning for those stocks in the S&P 500, making those new highs. We're gonna choose where we want this to be saved to. So either ChartCharts or ACP charts, depending on kind of which platform you use. I do go back and forth between the two. I like to use both platforms. But in this case today, what we're gonna use is ACP actually, just to highlight that. So we're gonna actually take this, we kind of got a little bit messed up here because we modified that other scan, but we're gonna do S&P 500. We're gonna do new 3-month highs. And when you go to save one of these new chart lists, it's also gonna put the date in there, which is kind of nice. So when you save a couple of these over time, you'll have those little date markers to remind you when that scan was from. So we select ACP, we set our name. Oop, there's a typo in there. Let me correct that. There we go. And we're gonna hit save. So there we go. This process is gonna run. It's gonna kick us over to ACP. And as you can see, this has actually opened up that chart list for us in that menu. You can see there is our new chart list in ACP. We've got our 3-month highs in the S&P 500. So now what we can do is click through all of these 42 names and we can start to review those charts. This is one of my favorite things to do with ACP, using the platform to review scan results. It is incredibly easy. So as you can see, we hit that first one up in the list. We've got our interactive charts right here. We can start to review these results. And for any of them, we could move them, we could save them to other lists, anything that we want to do. But as you can see, it's incredibly quick and easy to run some of these scans for new 3-month highs or anything that fits your criteria, save those to a chart list, and then start to review those results right here. Incredibly quick, incredibly easy. Now I want to show you one of my favorite things to do to review these scan results. I have created a layout in my account, which I can actually access from right up here, that puts a daily and a weekly chart up on the screen at the same time. So I can actually run these scans, then jump over to ACP and review those results across multiple time frames. I'll show you exactly how to set this up. We're gonna open up our layouts menu on the left side of the screen. Now I've saved these to my account, but if you haven't, we're gonna come down here to this create layout section. Personally, I like to have the daily and the weekly up. That gives me a nice kind of mix of time frames. So I like those stacked right next to each other. We're gonna select our number of charts and we're gonna select our orientation, whether you want horizontal, vertical, different kinds of things. Once we do that, you're gonna see that we have these 2 charts up on the screen. Now the one key that I wanna make sure you're aware of, you're gonna need to turn on symbol sync. What that's gonna do is take any of the symbols on the screen, any of the charts with the same symbol, and it's gonna basically keep those in lockstep. So if you change the symbol on one, it'll change the symbol on all of those different charts. So that is one key. We're also gonna take off this apply to all range menu right there. Make sure that you turn on symbol sync. And then from there, we can start to change this chart. So if we wanted to change this one on the right side to be a weekly chart, we could change that to be a weekly. We could scroll that out. We can see our different time frames there. So now what you end up with is a daily chart on the left and a weekly chart on the right. You get 2 different time frames for the same symbol. And once you start to actually click through these, you'll see that they change together. So now we're looking at Accenture. It kicked us off of our weekly there. So we're gonna actually hit load symbol only and turn on that little checkbox right there. Now we're back to our weekly. We can hit Accenture. That's gonna keep us on our daily and our weekly. And now we can start to flip through this chart list with multiple time frames up on the screen. To get you over to exactly how mine looks, for instance, here's our daily and our weekly. Going to look similar, but I've actually modified that weekly a little bit. By the way, once you do set these up, down at the bottom, you can save those layouts to your account to make them really, really easy to come back to in the future. So a nice little ACP trick there. We've got our daily, we've got our weekly, we've got our chart list. We can now flip through this chart list. And as you see, we've got multiple time frames up on the screen. This is a great way to review scan results, having those multiple timeframes, seeing things not just from one perspective, but from the shorter term daily and the longer term weekly perspective. I find that this is the most powerful way to review these scan results. Occasionally you'll see something that's well set up on the daily, but on the weekly you realize that it's been a long-term underperformer. Maybe that's something that you want to steer clear of. Other times you'll see something that's set up perfectly on the daily and perfectly on the weekly, maybe breaking out on both of those different time frames, outperforming the market. Those are the kinds of things that I like to find in my own approach. So this little process, incredibly easy to come here, open up ACP, select one of these layouts, and start to review these scans across different time frames. Now, one other really nice thing is that if you do want to narrow in on one of these charts, this little maximize button down at the bottom will actually allow you to take over the entire screen with just one of those charts from the layout. So if you've got that kind of 2-chart layout with your daily and your weekly, but then you want to just focus on the weekly chart for any of these, you'll see that you can actually do that really, really easily with that little maximize button. Once you want to get back, you can just hit it again. That'll take you back down to the 2-chart layout. So a nice little trick there. I like to actually kind of jump between those different charts, take over the whole screen, kind of study what's going on that time frame, and then slim it back down and go on to the next chart. But I love to show people this. This is just a great way to review scan results. Very quick, very easy. Of course, you can do the same thing in Sharp Charts. So if we go back over to our scan, we run that. Let's say we wanted to review these results with a Sharp Charts list. We can do that really easily. We'll fix our name here because we were on that saved scan before. S&P 500 new 3-month highs. We can hit save. And this is going to send us over to a Sharp Charts list now. So if you're a Sharp Charts user, you do the exact same thing, save those scan results, and then you've got a couple of different chart list views to look at these in. So of course, summary view if you want that table. If you want to start to review those charts with the Sharp Charts version, you can jump over to chart list view and start to review all these in kind of a stacked view. So similar to what we were doing with ACP, but just a little bit different, some different ways to kind of review these different lists. So that kind of gets us through creating those scans, reviewing some of those lists. But like I said, one of the most powerful things that we have is this ability to actually schedule these scans. So when we jump down to our chart lists, again, we're talking about all of these different lists. So you can go and create these scans for different groups, different time frames, new highs across those different time frames. You've seen how easy it is to create that. Once you've done that, though, you're going to want to save those scans and you can actually schedule them. So let's take a look at that right now. We'll actually jump back over to the scan workbench here, advanced scan workbench. So once we're looking at something like our, let's do new 3-month highs in the S&P 500. We'll take off some of that stuff from that other scan as well. Let me get back to that. Here is our S&P 500 new 3-month highs. So once we've created that scan, we have the syntax set up exactly the way that we want it. We're going to save as or save, depending on if it's brand new or not. Let's actually get you to that. I'll copy this really quick, and we'll do a new scan here. I'll paste that in. So here is our new scan. Let's say we're setting this up for the very first time. We've got our S&P 500 group, and we've got our new 3-month high syntax. This is probably what it's going to look like for you if you're creating that scan for the very first time. So what you're going to do is hit save as, and you're going to type in a name here like S&P 500 new 3-month highs. and we'll give it an exclamation point to really differentiate it there. We're going to hit save. So now we've actually taken that scan and we have saved it to our account. When I opened up that menu earlier, you can see all of the different scans that I've saved to my account. But in this case, now what we've done is actually saved this scan to our account so that we can come back to it in the future. Now, you could manually run this scan every day and go through that same process that we just looked at, where you're saving those scans, saving those scan results to a chart list, and then jumping over to ACP or to SharpCharts and reviewing each one sort of manually, right? That's kind of a manual process. What we launched a little while ago, about a year ago, is the ability to actually schedule these scans to run automatically for you at any time of the day. So up here, kind of at the top of the scan workbench, you'll see that you have a tab for scheduled scans. So when we jump over there, this allows you to pick any of the saved scans from your account and schedule them. So you can select, for instance, that S&P 500 scan that we just created. Here's our exclamation point at the end. S&P 500 stocks making new 3-month highs. We can set up exactly when we want this to run automatically for us. Now, if you like things at the open, you could set this up, leave this on the US market open. I personally like to schedule mine for the close. At the end of the day, I want to get a list of everything that made a new 3-month high that day. And then you can pick your run days. Now, for stocks, this is really helpful to have just every day of the week. Or if you're running kind of a longer term scan, you might want this to only run on Fridays or only on Mondays, different things like that. If you're trading cryptocurrencies or some other asset classes, having the ability to schedule these on the weekend could be helpful. Or again, if you're running some of those longer term scans, looking at kind of weekly charts and things like that, scheduling these on the weekend could also be helpful for you. But you get to customize that entirely. You can also customize the time of day if you do want that. Again, helpful for cryptocurrencies, but personally, I like to use the US market close for pretty much all of my scans. So set your timing, set your run days, and then set your action. So this is the scan that's going to run. When that runs at this time, what do you want to do with those results? You've got a couple of different options here, kind of similar to what we saw on the scan results page. You can save these to a new chart list, you can merge these into an existing chart list, or you can overwrite everything in an existing chart list entirely. Now, I like to use the merge function. This is a very, very helpful little piece of this whole process. So I like to use the merge function, and I merge into a chart list that I've already created in my account. So I'll set up a blank chart list called S&P 500 new 3-month highs. That's what you saw earlier when we had all those chart lists from my account. Those are basically empty chart lists that I've created, and they're there so that my scheduled scans can drop the results into those lists. I merge them into those lists so that the results basically get built up every single day. Now, I like to review those results at the close every day, but if I do let it go for a couple of days, the results are going to get merged into that same list, and so they'll basically build up. Anything that is already in that list will be ignored. Anything that's not in that list will be added. So if you let this go for Monday through Friday, then by the weekend, you'll actually end up with a chart list in your account full of all the S&P 500 stocks that made a new 3-month high at some point during the past 5 trading days. That is an incredibly powerful thing. Think about that for a second. At the end of the week, you get a list in your account of all the S&P 500 stocks that made a new 3-month high at some point that week. As a starting place for finding new stocks to buy, that is an incredibly powerful place. If you're looking for stocks that are setting up, things that are making new 3-month highs, new 6-month, 9-month, 52-week highs, those are kind of the groups that I want to filter. I want to come up with my kind of groups of stocks like the S&P 500 or 400 or 600, and then I want to look at only the ones that are making new highs. If something's continuing lower, I don't really want to spend the time looking at that chart. I want to focus on the ones that are strong, focus on the ones that are getting stronger and making those new highs. So this is how you really start to make this process fly. You create those scans and you schedule them to save the results automatically for you in a chart list. Now, once you've set this up with that merge action, you can select your chart list from your account right here, hit save, and that will be automatically scheduled for you. The one other little option that you do have is this send email. So if you want to get an email report every time that scheduled scan runs, you can keep this checked. If you want to just know that the results have run, and we'll save them into your account for you, you can kind of be, manage things yourself, if you will. You can uncheck that if you don't want those emails sent to your inbox. Now, just to give you a sense, again, of how this works, we'll jump back to the dashboard and jump down to my chart lists. I do have a couple of these that are still full of lists. This is what I call my checklist targets. So if we open up this chart list, you can see here are the S&P 600 stocks that have made a new 52-week high at some point this week that fit some other criteria that I have, kind of a trading checklist of mine. So you can see these are saved right in here. Once those scheduled scans run, they automatically dump the results right into here. And then all I have to do, I don't have to worry about running scans or remembering to do anything. All I have to do is whenever I want, I jump over to this chart list and I start to review these lists. You can see how easy it is to do that. Now from there, of course, I can move these to any other list. So for instance, if I wanted to take a couple of these and merge them into one of my other watch lists, it's really easy to do that. Just select them from the edit page here, hit that little merge icon, and I can send these on over to another chart list in my account, or just move them right over to another chart list in my account. So becomes really, really easy to work with these. Now, once I've gone through all the charts in the list, I can either delete them from this list to clear them out, use the select all, and then delete them from here. Or what I actually like to do is come over to the chart list view, and as I'm scrolling down, if something is not interesting to me, I can actually just delete it right from here. So let's say, okay, Abercrombie is a little bit stretched. That's not really interesting to me. I'm going to delete that one from the list. ANIP, again, a little bit stretched. Don't see an entry there, so I'm going to delete that one from the list. Now we can see Aztec has made a bit of a base breakout. We can see these moving averages coming down, so there might be some other breakouts happening, so maybe I want to leave that one on the list. As kind of a similar thing, just starting to make a nice breakout here. It might be one that I want to take a closer look at later, so I can leave that one in the list. So you can see as you go, really, really easy to kind of start to slim down these lists using that little delete button right there. So scheduling those scans, incredibly, incredibly powerful. Again, this really kind of really drives a lot of my stock picking process. And again, just like Dave and I were talking about, thinking about the markets from the bottom up, running those scans, thinking about which stocks are making those new highs across those different time frames. It's an incredibly powerful way to find new stocks to buy, but also an incredibly powerful way to think about the markets, incredibly powerful way to see that sector rotation happening in real time. When you're running these every day, looking at those scan results every single day, you really do get to see the kind of ebbs and flows in the market. You see that sector rotation happening, not just at that sector level, but also at the bottom of the market, at the highest, lowest level that's really kind of driving everything. You get to see that sector rotation and start to be aware of it too. When you're running these scans every day, you're looking at those lists and you say, oh, you know what? Here's S&P 500 stocks making new 3-month highs, and 30% of these are in the energy space. Wow, there's something really happening in that energy space. That might be an area that I really want to target. So it can be incredibly helpful for not only finding individual names to buy, but spaces to buy, and making sure that you've got kind of all the wins at your back, right? If you're buying a specific stock, you want to know that it's supported by industry and sector strength behind it. So this is an incredibly powerful way to see some of that. So I want to thank you for joining me on the show today. It's been a lot of fun to be with you, talking through some of the key processes that drive my own routines out there in the markets, and so many other technicians. Again, thinking about stocks and making these new highs across these different time frames, incredibly powerful. And with some of these tools, scanning and reviewing those charts and scheduling those scans to run for you automatically, it's incredibly easy to do these kinds of things and set up those routines. This is really all about having that process and executing it consistently. Scheduling those scans in your accounts allows you to execute those routines more consistently. Instead of having to remember to go scan for everything every day and save the results to the right place, you just get everything saved to your account. All you have to worry about is going and reviewing those charts. Very, very powerful. Again, I want to thank you for joining me on the show today. It's been a lot of fun with you. Remember our 2 YouTube channels now. Go subscribe to both of those if you haven't already. Hit that subscribe button, turn that notification bell on, and check out that new YouTube channel that we have at the bottom of that primary one, the StockCharts channel. You can search for that, but more kind of long-form educational content. Some very cool new Sarah at StockCharts videos. One of our marketing team leads is doing some videos kind of educating you on different corners of the markets, how things work, what ETFs are, what different indicators are. Lots of great content there. We've got some new documentaries up there as well. A very new, cool history of Wall Street kind of documentary. So lots going on that other YouTube channel as well. So check that out. But of course, if you haven't subscribed to either one, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, turn that thing on. Again, I want to thank you for joining me on the show today. We do this every Friday, digging into the site, walking through tools and features, talking about ways to get more value out of StockCharts. So tune in next Friday. We'll have even more for you then. I'll look forward to seeing you on the next episode. But of course, until then, chart on, my friends.